This is a homework help video for the gift of the Nile. So you'll see it says, I'll give you a physical worksheet in class. If you lose the worksheet or were absent, here's a digital one. So step one, you should watch the importance of the Nile River. That will help you answer some of the questions on your worksheet. You need to read the contents of the gift of the Nile on your worksheet, which is right there. And there's some questions. So it says use the video information on your worksheet and featured map on the worksheet to answer each question. So click that. You can go 100%. View it up closer. You will also see the video is attached here and a copy of the slideshow. You'll see my homework help video because you're watching it. But we'll start here. It says ancient Egypt was one of the most accomplished and enduring civilizations. The ancient Egyptians built a thriving kingdom that lasted from 3100 BCE to 332 BCE. The Nile River was a source of greatness for ancient Egypt and was the centerpiece of Egyptian life. Here are some reasons why. The Nile stretches over 4,000 miles. It's the world's longest river. The Nile flows north, forming a fertile triangle-shaped delta that empties into the Mediterranean Sea. So here's the fertile triangle-shaped delta that empties into the Mediterranean Sea. You can even zoom in a little bit closer if you need to. See, here's the Nile Delta. And you can see it bigger on your slides, on the slides attached here too. Okay. The Nile's waters rose in the spring and summer and receded in the fall. Its floods were predictable. So the water rose in the spring and summer, and then it receded or fell in the fall. So the water would become more shallow in the fall. The Nile's flood waters soaked the ground, producing deposits of silt that fertilized the soil. The Nile produced papyrus reeds used to make rope, baskets, and paper-like scrolls for writing. So papyrus reeds, that's a vocabulary word you should remember. The Nile was so important that the Egyptians worshipped a god of the Nile called Hapi. Next, follow the instructions to analyze the geography of the Nile and the importance of the Nile in everyday life. What natural barriers did ancient Egypt have its north, west, and east? So just a reminder, this video is attached here. The video does a really good job explaining everything that will help you answer these questions, but you can answer this just looking at the worksheet. So natural barriers, north, west, and east. So we've got our little compass here, north, west, east. We've got right here the Nile Delta. The Nile Delta is north. The west, we've got the Western Desert. So north is the Nile Delta. West, right? West is the Western, in the word, Western Desert. And then east. Oh, there it is again, Eastern Desert. Who would have thunk? Those are some natural barriers because the Delta was very marshy and difficult for invaders to get through. And the deserts were just really intense. It was difficult for a lot of outsiders to go through that. What impact do you think Egypt's natural barriers had on its ability to fight off invaders? So like I just said, the Nile Delta was marshy and difficult for invaders to pass through. Deserts acted as a barrier because of the difficult climate for outsiders to cross. That could be an option, something like that. What capital city developed just south of the Nile Delta? So here's the Nile Delta, so south. You can zoom in a little bit more if we need to. And we know capitals have stars. That's north, just north of the Nile Delta. Ooh, there's your star. Memphis or Memphis. Memphis. What capital city was established in the northern part of Upper Egypt? So remember, the lower and upper Egypts are determined by the flow of the river. So it's kind of opposite of how we remember. So if you think about the map we did, this is Lower Egypt and purple is Upper Egypt. So like what capital city was established in the northern part of Upper Egypt? Upper Egypt is purple. Northern part, there's that star, which we know from the key is capital logo. Nile River starts at Lake Victoria in the Central African mountains and flows north to Mediterranean Sea. That's why the Lower Egypt is located in the north and Upper Egypt is located in the south. Why do you think Lower Egypt had more settlements than Upper Egypt? So this is your educated guess. So Lower Egypt, right here, had more settlements than Upper Egypt down here. Probably because, remember it said at the top, the Nile's floodwaters soaked the ground and produced deposits of silt that fertilized the soil. The Nile flows north, forming a fertile triangle-shaped delta that empties into the Mediterranean Sea. So you remember in previous lessons, fertile soil helped with crop growing and allowed for more beneficial settlements. You can say something like that. So the fertile soil allowed for better crop harvesting, which allowed people to make more food, which made more successful settlements. That's probably why the Lower Egypt had more settlements than the Upper Egypt, because of the Nile Delta and all that fertile soil. Okay. Nile provided a fertile habitat for many animals and plants, including papyrus reeds. What products did the ancient Egyptians use papyrus reeds to make? It says it right here. Rope, baskets, paper like scrolls for writing. So you write that there. Rivers can suddenly flood and become dangerous. Why did the ancient Egyptians not fear Nile River floods? Go back here. The Nile floodwaters soaked the ground, producing deposits of silt that fertilized the soil. The Nile's waters rose in the spring and summer and receded in the fall. Its floods were predictable. That's why. So it was predictable. They could use the floods to their advantage. If you were an ancient Egyptian scribe updating the Pharaoh's scrolls on the amount of barley or wheat grown each season, how would the Nile help you do your job? We've got information about the papyrus reeds. That it was predictable. So you could say something like, the Nile was predictable, which allowed for predictable information on amounts, crops, papyrus reeds were used to make paper, which allowed scribes to write information on, stuff like that. I mean, you're using the map and the information above to help you answer all these questions. If you're an ancient Egyptian merchant carrying goods between Lower and Upper Egypt, how would the Nile help you be successful? Well, you know, the The Nile stretches over 4,000 miles, so lots of area. You can take your crops. The water flowed the same direction. It was predictable, things like that. I kind of just gave you all the answers, so go ahead and write those down. And then if you need more assistance, there's the video, got our slides there. Reach out to me or Mrs. Staffen if you need any help.